it was hard for me to give up this feeling of needing to like perform and strive and prove myself to be like good enough or to be helpful enough. I feel like there was a point in life where hustling paid off. And then there was like an energy shift. I don't know if it's just me or everybody, or we're all going to be on that journey at some point, but it was like no matter how hard I pushed, things were not working.
You're listening to Sensitive, Spiritual, and Successful, the podcast where we uncover ways to connect you back to your soul self and get you unstuck so that you can live out your full potential. I'm Jasmine Lynn, a former psychotherapist turned human design soul guide and EFT tapping success coach, and I'm here to show you how to love yourself through all your levels of growth. I know you're here because you have an impact you want to make in this world and you have a light to share, and I'm here to guide you through that journey because you deserve soul-aligned success. Before we jump into this amazing episode with Natalie, I just wanted to say that we talk about human design, and I'm realizing that people are coming into the podcast kind of curious about human design. So if you wanted to grab a free chart, it's on my website, www.jasminelyn.com. And if you want to dive into more information, I've made a foundational human design report that's personalized to you for only $7.99. Like I said, you can get that on my website. I just feel like it helps people understand human design a little more, especially if you're new to it. So I hope that helps. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. I have a special guest here, Natalie Wallstein. She is an author, astrologer, quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, and the founder of Divine Flow Publishing Co. She assists spiritual entrepreneurs in writing and publishing books that are raising the vibration of the planet. She is based in Maui, and her dream as a double Pisces is to create heaven on earth by helping others awaken to self-love and trust the universe more. I am so happy to have you here, Natalie.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Natalie and I were speaking before recording, but I knew Natalie from when she was Soulshine Astrology. I followed your work. I bought your Cosmic Career Blueprint when I was going through my internship as a counselor. I bought it there. I remember taking out my credit card and buying it. And then when I got it back, I always went back to that blueprint just to dream up the possibilities to see how I could start aligning with my work and my authenticity and what I'm here to do. So I've always been on this journey of trying to find my purpose. And then I was your guest doing EFT tapping for money blocks in your community. And so I was just starting out testing the water. So I'm so grateful for you giving me that opportunity to practice my skills. And I don't think we realize how much we as helpers in the field impact a person. But to be sitting with you now and just seeing how our paths have crossed is really, really cool.
Yeah, collaboration is everything. It's so important.
Yeah.
And makes life and work so much more meaningful and rewarding.
I love it. Okay, so we'll jump right in. Tell us about your journey of being a spiritual entrepreneur, astrologer. What led you down this path?
Yeah, my parents, I must have chosen my parents or something because they're both entrepreneurs. So growing up, I never saw myself working like a boring 9 to 5 job. I did have one at one point. I think I lasted like 3 months and then I like woke up one morning and I'm like, I have to quit. Well, wait, those. And so I started as a graphic designer, actually. That's what I went to school for. And I was working with a lot of female entrepreneurs to do their branding and web design and all sorts of like fun little graphics. And in the same month, 3 people asked me to design a moon tracker. And that's how I learned about the moon. And I was living on the big island of Hawaii at the time, and that's where they take pictures of space. So the stars were incredible. And I just kind of started like falling in love with astrology. And then I made that my career instead because I wanted to help people on a deeper spiritual level beyond surface level graphics. It's like fun to make things pretty, but I wanted there to be more meaning and passion in what I was doing. And not only that, but my astrology chart said that I was meant to help people on a deeper spiritual level too. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. That sounds like something I've always secretly wanted to do, but I didn't know how. So that was, oh my gosh, like 9 years ago or something. But I've been an entrepreneur since I was 23 or something. So It's just, like, always been trying to make things work ever since then, and there's lots of ups and downs, and sometimes I have a ton of money, sometimes I don't have any, so I'm sure other entrepreneurs can relate to that, but there's always that thread of following my passion, following my heart, and it's always worth that.
Huh. I was gonna say it always seems to work out too when you're
Yeah.
following your heart. Like it's like the 3D things, money in the bank account, but you're like, I just can't go back to a soul sucking 9 to 5. I'll make it work. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, and believe in yourself.
That's exactly. Was there a moment when you realized, you've built something as an entrepreneur, but then you needed to reassess it after some time? And what was the process like? I think people are kind of scared to switch gears, and I just want to hear how you were able to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. So I threw myself all the way into astrology, and I have for people who know astrology, I have 5 planets in Capricorn. So I'm like a mega boss lady, crazy lady, like, oh my gosh. Like, not a part of myself that I don't know. Sometimes we have trouble. She wants me to work really hard, that part of me. Yeah. I grew like an empire. I had 5 people on my team. And I was managing all these people, and we were building all these tools to help people live in alignment with the cosmos. And it was like a monster. I built a monster. And every day my to do list was super long. And I was like always on deadlines, right? Because astrology is all about talking about the current energy when you have to talk about it when it's current. So I have put so much pressure on myself. And I had a meditation practice. Luckily, when I was meditating, I realized I was evolving past this phase of, like, working so hard all the time and, like, guzzling coffee and being a freak show. That's how I realized I needed to unbuild, actually. So, I tried to do some business techniques. I tried to put everything I was doing into a membership instead of having all these separate offerings. And I think that was just kind of, like, more busy work, honestly.
Yeah.
It was maybe 2 years I tried that, and decided to fire my whole team, and I was like, "We're only gonna do things that I have time to do, and if I don't have time to do it, we're not doing it anymore." So that's kind of how I shifted gears because it wasn't working and it didn't feel in alignment for me on a spiritual level, which is exactly what I was doing in my work for other people, and it wasn't congruent.
Yeah. Did you ever think that it was going to get that big? Like, did you have that vision for yourself first?
So right before I started Soulshine Astrology, I had a near-death experience, and I was like, "I don't wanna die with my magic still in me." And then I was like, "I don't want anyone to die with their magic still in them," because I realized how far off I was between my perception of who I thought I was and what my chart said I was. And I'm like, "This must like, I'm pretty in tune with myself, and I was missing the mark on what I'm here to do." So going into it, I felt like I needed to save the world. Like a crazy person. So I think I did know on some level it was gonna be big because I was putting everything I had into it. It, like, did surprise me many times, though.
I feel like you put the intention out there of really wanting to help and support others, but then to the point of where you weren't able to take care of yourself. And I'm sure your guides or, your spirit team was probably like, what are you doing? Yeah, I get off that hamster wheel. And it's so easy to do that. Do you know your human design?
I do a little bit, yeah. Apparently, I'm a generator, but I don't like that, so I pretend I'm a manifestor generator. It makes me feel unbetter.
Yes. So you're a generator. Doing what lights you up is really important. Otherwise, you're just going to drain yourself. I'm a generator too. And I remember aligning to my authenticity and my energy. I had to look at what was frustrating me. And then I just started knocking those off my list. I remember thinking, like, okay, now's the time to go all in on what I actually want to do. And I'm only going to do what I like doing. I think you learn at some point, like, you built Soulshine Astrology so big and had this team and everything was going really well, you know your potential. When you see yourself building and your generators are here to build, you see it and you're like, okay, now what if I put that into something that actually lit me up? That was always exciting and it's okay to change gears. I'm just responding to what the universe is sending me and going with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I was doing what I loved. Like, everything on my to-do list, I love to do. It was more about cultivating a greater sense of self-worth that I didn't need to do all the things for all the people. So it was like realizing that I deserve to give myself help and respect.
So you were building something and you really loved it, but then you just needed to switch gears because you were overgiving.
Yeah, definitely. And not giving enough to myself.
What was it like to move from forcing to flowing? Can you describe that shift, how your mindset changed and how your views of work has changed?
Yeah, that was a long process. It was hard for me to give up this feeling of needing to like perform and strive and prove myself to be like good enough or to be helpful enough. So it really started because like nothing was working. I feel like there was a point in life where hustling paid off. And then there was like an energy shift. I don't know if it's just me or everybody, or we're all going to be on that journey at some point, but it was like no matter how hard I pushed, things were not working. It was like nobody cared about astrology. Nobody wanted to buy anything anymore. And I would talk to people and they'd be like, "What are you talking about? I love astrology. I just bought blah, blah, blah." And it was almost like the universe was like blocking people from coming to me.
Mhm.
And that made a lot more sense to me later when I started doing quantum healing hypnosis and interviewing people's higher selves. And I started to understand that like everything's planned. And like if I was meant to be really successful continuously, it would just happen. So I realized there's like a bigger force at play that's beyond me. We can plan our lives as much as we want on the human level, but our higher self has a greater plan for us. And it's not always what our human self wants or realizes that we need. So the more I study spirituality, the more I realized I'm not in charge at all. And at first that was terrifying. And then it was such a huge relief that like I don't have to push or force anything. I can just float down a stream and everything I need to be doing and everything that's meant to come for me, like an apostle, is gonna come.
Yeah, there's that quote. It's like nothing meant for me will like miss me or whatever. So you're just saying that as you're moving through life, you know that you are taken care of and that you'll know what you need to do or respond to, or, when an opportunity comes your way, that's just in alignment.
Yeah, and this is not an easy shift to make. I think it takes like hitting rock bottom and like nothing working out and like literally have to give up and then you realize, "Oh wow, I'm being taken care of." Crazy.
Yes. So you said you did quantum healing hypnosis, and that's where you practiced that for yourself and then supported clients in that to connect with their higher self?
Yeah, that's how I kind of went beyond this like, like, astrology is sort of like your life plan too. But we can only interpret it from our human level. So I was interested in going into that because you could ask questions of why did you plan your chart to be this way and get the real reason behind it instead of like, oh, here's just your life plan, live it. There's a reason for it. There's something we want to experience. So that I got like a session for myself. It changed my life. I saw my past lives. I got the most amazing, beautiful messages from my higher self about how I don't need to work anymore. Calm down. That's what we've been talking about. And that's what my past lives were showing me too, is like lives where I went crazy with work. And we're not doing that this time.
Oh, so you went into that same pattern, but now in this lifetime, you're learning, let's not do that. Let's not run the same pattern. And let's just learn how to trust and flow.
Yeah, exactly. So I became a practitioner and I was doing session after session, talking to people's higher selves. And these are completely different people. They don't know each other. They didn't read or hear each other's sessions. And their higher self is saying almost the same thing. You are protected. You don't need to work so hard. You don't need to worry so much. We got it. We've planned it for you. Just experience, just be. Life is not about a problem to solve. It's an experience to have. And I just kept hearing these messages over and over and over again. And it was slowly like deteriorating my defenses of like, I must control everything to like, okay, I think there's something to this. Like, I really can relax and flow. And then that's where the idea for divine flow came along, which is what I'm doing now.
That is so wonderful. Now, do you think that when things aren't aligned, that your higher self knows how to sabotage it, but when it is aligned, that things work out in a way that's more magical? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I think if you're not meant to do something, the universe will rise up around you and force you. And it's when we try to hold on to things that we suffer the most. So you have to realize this is not working out. And that like level of self-worth comes back in to realize you don't need to struggle. You don't need to suffer. You're allowed to feel good. You're allowed to love what you're doing. We tend to feel that way when we are in alignment with what we're meant to do. And that can change. So you can feel really in alignment 1 year and the next year try to do the same thing and it doesn't work anymore. Because I don't think we're meant to do the same thing every day for the rest of our lives. I think that gives our human minds a sense of safety and stability and security, but you're safer to let the universe guide you and lead
Mhm.
you and hold you.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to you saying it's our experiences. Like we evolve and we grow and we learn our lessons. And so the next year, let's say there's like another thing that we can kind of experience and go through and learn from. I always come from it as like there's more skills I can learn and master and work towards. So every year will look different because I'm like, oh, I really want to learn the skill of starting a podcast and sharing my voice that way or sharing my gifts that way or writing a book, things like that. It's like as you evolve and you grow, there's new opportunities there and it allows you to rise up to learn and experience life in a new way.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do is grow, not just cling to the same thing forever because it makes us feel safe.
Yes, absolutely. What helped you the most with connecting back to your authentic self and learning how to slow down?
Yeah, it was definitely, reprogramming my belief system from the spiritual studies I was doing, the sessions I was doing, meditating, yoga, and then, like, consciously slowing down. I remember feeling like nothing was working, but I didn't know what else to do, and so I laid on my couch and I said, "I'm not leaving this couch for 3 days." I just decided, "I'm not gonna leave for 3 days and or until I feel a creative spark to do something." And so I learned to kind of get in tune with that feeling within me that tells me when to do something instead of waking up and being like, well, every day I sit at a computer and I check my email and I like create graphics for social media. I like broke that programming and instead I'm like, I'm literally going to sit here until like spirit moves through me and gives me an idea of something to do. And I think I only had to lay on that couch for like a day and a half. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I have an idea. And that kinda helped show me, like, eventually you're gonna have the idea, and I think we need to rest a lot more than we are. Rest is so important, and we'll actually get way better ideas. It's so counterintuitive, but we gotta get into receiving mode to receive our inspiration, and when we're like, "Back off, universe, I got this," you're just sort of delaying the inevitable, whether it's gonna work out or not, what you're doing, and just yeah, might as well rest and let, like, amazing ideas come to you.
I feel that. And as a generator, I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in busy work because you feel productive, but it's really not that productive. But you feel like you have this energy that defines sacral center and human design that you're just supposed to be like doing and creating and building. But it turns into like blind ambition. Like it's just like, what am I doing? Do I need to be doing this right now?
I think that's the hardest part is, like, you're not being lazy.
Yeah.
It's gonna come, and you need as much rest as you need to get to that point. It's like you're preparing for something that you don't know what it is yet, but you're making sure you're centered.
Mhm. Yes. And then when you do go and create it, you have better energy. It's not cluttered energy. It's grounded and it's centered, like you said. Yeah.
And it's the right
Awesome.
thing to do. It's not coming from, like, your fear brain.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you create something and it flops. And you're like, okay, I thought that was a good idea. I can see what
Now I know.
now I know exactly. Why do you think spiritual entrepreneurs have a hard time slowing down and trusting to flow?
Yeah, I think we look around us and we think we have to do things the way other people are doing them. There's so much information out there of like strategies and tips and tools and tricks and secrets. Ooh. And we're like, oh, they must know something I don't. So, yeah, I think we're also kind of like trying to keep up with each other. There's like competition built in. It's just like in our psyches from growing up and going to school and the way the education system is. So, yeah, I think it's just sort of programmed into us for a long time and our parents and their parents. that it's like unproductive to slow down. And that's why it's hard, but we can do it, guys.
Yeah, exactly. What advice do you have for people trying to shift out of forcing and into flow?
Give up. Give up. It's pointless. There's so much freedom in giving up, like literally giving everything up to the universe, to the divine, to your higher self, to your spirit guides, and just being like, I'm not going to do anything. You guys do it. It's so free.
I love that. And I'm like so into it. But hearing it reflected back, I'm like, "Ugh." Like trust and let it flow. And I have to really consciously work on that, obviously. But yeah, hearing that back, I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so scary.
This sounds so stupid because it's like, we know nature. Okay. But actually, if you spend like a lot of time in nature and you prioritize it daily, like I mean more than an hour, like literally just be there, your body will start to attune to the frequency of the earth. And you realize that the earth takes care of all of your needs and it will just become a part of you. It's not something you need to read or learn. It's literally like the earth will tune you
Mm.
to that frequency of like, I'm always held, I'm always being taken care of, all my needs are being met. And you'll start to crave it too. You'll start to crave nature more.
I really liked how you said that. Just attune yourself to that frequency.
Yeah. And be in touch with the divine mother who she's responsible for giving you all your needs. Like, you know how with your baby needs like everything from you and you give it to the baby. The baby doesn't have to work for it. It doesn't have to like prove itself to be worthy. It's like you as the mother give it everything, and that's what the earth does to us, and
Mhm.
that this, like, frequency of the divine mother gives to us. It's like, I don't know, whatever you wanna call it, God, the universe, source, and we just need to stop fighting and, like, let it hold us.
With this new journey you're on, what made you want to make this shift? What you're doing now?
Yeah, so as a hypnosis practitioner, I was getting my own sessions, and each one I got was getting more and more intense. Like, in the beginning, I was like, "Here's, like, your past life when you're, like, shoveling snow. Okay, cool." And then, like, by the 4th or 5th one, it was, like, Mother Mary and Buddha and, like, Isis, and, like, there's literally talking to me, having a conversation, and I'm translating it while I'm, under hypnosis. And they're showing me that I need to stop worrying about helping other people so much. And that was the whole focus of the whole thing of like, just cut that cord. It's sort of, it sounds crazy, right? Because we're told we're here to help people. And we feel like we're such a good person for helping people, especially like sacrificing yourself for other people. Like that's honorable, right? So I was learning that I'm meant to like focus on myself and what brings me joy. And if it happens to elevate or touch others, that's cool, but it's not the point. Yes, that will happen, but I'm really like doing what I love. And one of the things about hypnosis is you're holding space for someone on a super deep level for like 4 or 5 hours. And I still do that and I still love doing it. I don't do it as much as I used to. And I realized that I could just write a book and I could live in my own blissful state of creativity and fun and joy and write a book. And I don't have to like be on the ground toiling with other people's problems. I can just live my best life and like share my ideas with people and wear my comfy pajamas and like, sit on the couch while I do it. Dang.
No.
And I also realized that books gave me my biggest spiritual breakthroughs. So that's why I wanted to start a publishing company called Divine Flow. And it's also kind of evolved into everything else too. So the idea of Divine Flow, it's the backbone is a publishing company for spiritual entrepreneurs to publish their books and not be censored and have a way in to publish a book that doesn't bring them so much pressure because I'm sure you can see the publishing industry is like a lot of pressure because I my first book was published by a traditional publisher. So I learned from that experience and I wanted to give authors a better experience. But it is also about like raising the vibration of the planet. And there's so many different ways to do that. So I also feel like Divine Flow is just like a channel for me to pour whatever I create into. whether it's books, whether it's helping other people with their books, whether it's meditation, whether it's hypnosis, whether it's astrology, and just like letting myself be multidimensional and explore whatever I'm into because it's all going to bring light to the world. And it might not be under like one brand of like career astrology. I really pinned myself down to that for so many years. And I really like, I still love it and believe in it, but there's so much more to me to explore. So I'm just like widened that up and I'm letting myself do whatever I want and just be the best Natalie I can be and let that channel out, let that blow out to people.
Yes. And I love what you're saying. It's because you've just given yourself permission to explore all of these things and to do the things you love, where, like you said before in the past, you pinned yourself down to one thing. And I think we kind of talked about it too, that it's honorable to like work really hard and stay in a company for very long and be in the long haul of something. And I can definitely relate to that. I remember feeling like I would want to jump from this thing to, a new job and trying this instead, or work with a different population. And people are like, you haven't even been there for that long. You're like, am I supposed to? Like, I don't want to be here anymore. But yeah, it's like just giving yourself permission. And I think it goes back to what you said before of looking at your beliefs, the beliefs that you hold around certain shoulds you put on your life. Because when you free yourself from that, first of all, your energy is free. And then what you create from there is just beautiful. I love your mission with your publishing company because I think there was somewhere that you said, like, you're raising the consciousness of the planet through words, through stories and everything. And I think that is so, so important. Do you want to tell people about your books?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just released a new book called Messages from the Higher Self. It's kind of what I've been talking about, where I interviewed people's higher selves when they're under hypnosis. And it's an amazing book, if I do say so myself, because I didn't really write it, like people's higher selves wrote it.
How
I just compiled it together and I thought it was amazing. So I wanted to share it with people to help other people trust because I've had such a huge transformation from reading or hearing these things. So, yeah, it's really about understanding who your higher self is because, like, I feel like people who are super spiritual, we look up to like deities or gods or goddesses or Jesus or whoever your thing is, you have your own higher consciousness and it's your higher self. So I wanted to understand that better through writing the book and it's out now. And there's so many more books to come. That's the great thing about having a publishing company is I can write whatever I want.
that is so cool. How can someone get their hands on that book, actually?
Yeah, it's just out there on Amazon or you
Okay.
can find it on our website, divineflow.co. Just look for Messages from the Higher Self by Natalie Wa.
That is so cool. I remember I did like this thing and like we have some land and I was in the forest trail part of my backyard. And I remember getting into a meditation and there was awareness dropping in. And I was like, who is this? And it was like your higher self. I was like, oh my God, I'm literally talking to myself.
And this is like the ancient, wise, unconditionally loving version of yourself. They're like so smart.
Are there any other ways you connect with your higher self?
Yeah, I guess meditation and slowing down and listening. And I work with my angels a lot too. Like I have a daily practice of like channeling messages from them. I don't know if that's my higher self, but it's like higher help.
Mhm.
And I'm sure my higher selves work part of that process of like deciding what messages come through for me. That's the weird thing too. Like the more I've been doing this, the more I realize we plan everything. Like we plan dreams we're gonna have. We plan what's gonna come through in like a psychic reading for us. We plan like our aura photography. Show her that she's yellow, even though she doesn't feel that way right now. And then it like tricks you to be that like stuff like that. So
Yeah.
because like everything's orchestrated for us, we really can relax. And I think reading the messages and being reminded of it constantly is what allows you to relax. It's not like you hear it once and you're like, okay, cool. It's like constant reminders, I think, is
Yes.
the key.
I love that. I love that you have a practice that you connect. I think that's a takeaway here is just like slowing down before you even go and take action. How can people connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me at divineflow.co, the website, and I'm also on Instagram at divineflow.co. And I have a podcast called Divine Flow. So that's I talk about everything that I do on there, and I'm trying to give those constant reminders that we constantly need to hear that we're safe, we're held, we can trust, everything's okay. I need to hear it all the time. So I feel like other people do too.
Oh, that's a really good idea to have someone can have that in their back pocket just to listen to these messages. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie, for chatting with me and being on.
Thank you so much. Me too.
And that's it for today's episode. Please share it with anyone else who wants to learn more about human design or anyone who may be on their personal growth and spiritual development journey. You can DM me on Instagram to talk about what resonated with you, what you learned about yourself. I love hearing about human design in real life. So I really appreciate those conversations. And if you would like, you can leave a comment, a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. That support means the world. Thank you so much for listening. I know time is a valuable currency. Take care.